November 26, 1899, Volume 3, Delight of the Holy Trinity because of the sufferings of Luisa. As I was very much in suffering, my lovable Jesus came and placed his arm behind my neck in the act of sustaining me. Now, being close to him, I began to do my usual adorations to all of his holy members, beginning with his most sacred head. In the act in which I was doing this, he said to me, "My beloved, I thirst. Let me quench my thirst in your love, for I cannot contain myself any more." And assuming the appearance of a baby, he threw himself into my arms and began to suckle. He seemed to take immense pleasure. He was all refreshed, and his thirst quenched. After this, almost wanting to joke with me, with a lance he held in his hand, he pierced my heart through, side to side. I felt a most bitter pain, but oh, how happy I was to suffer, especially because it was the very hands of my soul and only good that gave me suffering. And I incited him to give me greater torment, so great was the pleasure and the sweetness I felt. And blessed Jesus, to make me more content, tore my heart out, taking it in his hands, and with that same lance he opened it into two halves, and found a cross, shining and pure white. He took it in his hands with great delight, and he told me, "This cross was produced by the love and the purity with which you suffer. I am so delighted with the way you suffer, that I am not alone, but I call the Father and the Holy Spirit to delight with me." In one instant, I went about looking, and I saw 3 persons who, surrounding me, delighted in looking at this cross. However, lamenting to them, I said, "Great God, too little is my suffering. I am not content with the cross alone, but I also want the thorns and the nails. And if I do not deserve this, because I am unworthy and a sinner, certainly you can give me the dispositions in order to deserve it." And Jesus, sending me a ray of intellectual light, made me understand that he wanted me to make the confession of my sins. I felt almost floored before the 3 divine persons, but the humanity of our Lord inspired me with confidence. So, turning to him, I recited the Confiteor, and then I began to make the confession of my sins. Now, while I was all immersed in my misery, a voice came out from their midst, saying, "We forgive you, and you sin no more." I was expecting to receive the absolution from our Lord, but all of a sudden he disappeared. After a little while he came back, crucified, and shared with me the pains of the cross. November 26, 1921, Volume 13, The Centralization of the Purpose of Creation, of Redemption, and of Glorification. The divine will as life of the creature surpasses the miracle of the Eucharist. I was thinking about what is written on the 19th of the current month, and I said to myself, how is it possible that after my mamma, I be the second support? My sweet Jesus, drawing me to himself into an immense light, told me, "My daughter, why do you doubt? What is the reason?" And I, "My great misery." And he, "This you must banish. Besides, if I did not choose you, I certainly should have chosen another one from the human family. In fact, the human family rebelled against my will, and by rebelling it took away from me the purpose of the glory and of the honor which creation was supposed to give to me. Therefore another from the same human family, by having a continuous connection with my will, by living more with my will than with her own, embracing everything within my volition, was to rise over everything, so as to lay at the feet of my throne the glory, the honor, and the love which all the others have not given me. The only purpose of creation was that all would fulfill my will, not that man would do great things. Rather, I look at those as trifles, and I despise them if they are not fruits of my will. This is why many works turn to ruin at their peak, because the life of my will was not in them. So, having broken his will from mine, man destroyed my best, the purpose for which I had created him. He ruined himself completely, and denied me all the rights which he owed me as creator. But my works carry the mark of eternity, and my infinite wisdom and my eternal love could not leave the work of creation without its effects and the rights which were due to me. This is the reason for redemption. With so many pains, I wanted to expiate all the sins of man by never doing my own will, but always that of the divinity, even in the most tiny things, such as breathing, looking, speaking, and so forth. My humanity did not move, nor did it have life, if it was not animated by the will of my Father. I would have contented myself with dying 1,000 times rather than take a breath without his will. Through this I joined again the human will with the divine, and through my person alone, being true man and true God, I returned to my Father all the glory and the rights which befitted him. But my will and my love do not want to be alone in my works. They want to make other images similar to me. After my humanity restored the purpose of creation, I saw that, because of man's ingratitude, the purpose of redemption was in danger and almost ruined for many. Therefore, so that redemption might bring me complete glory and give me all the rights which were due to me, I took another creature from the human family, my mamma, faithful copy of my life, in whom my will was preserved as whole, and I centralized in her all the fruits of redemption. So I rescued the purpose of creation and redemption. And if no one had taken advantage of redemption, my mamma would give me all that the creatures would not have given me. Now I come to you. I was true man and true God. My dear mamma was innocent and holy, and our love pushed us even further. We wanted another creature who, being conceived like all the other children of men, would take the third place at my side. I was not satisfied with the fact that only myself and my mamma remained unbroken with the divine will. We wanted other children who, in the name of all, living in full accord with our will, would give us divine glory and love for all. Therefore I called you from eternity, when nothing yet existed down here, and just as I longed for my dear mamma, delighting in her, caressing her, and pouring upon her in torrents all the goods of the divinity, so I longed for you. I caressed you, and the torrents which were poured on my mamma inundated you, for as much as you were capable of containing. They prepared you, anticipated you, and embellishing you, they gave you the grace that my will be whole in you, and that my will, not yours, would animate even your tiniest acts. My life, my will, and all my love flew in each act of yours. What contentment! How many joys did I not feel! This is why I call you second support after my mamma. Not upon you did I lean, because you were nothing, and lean I could not, but upon my will, which you were to contain. My will is life, and whoever possesses it possesses life, and is able to sustain the author of life itself. Therefore, just as I centralized in me the purpose of creation, I centralized in my mamma the fruits of redemption, and I centralized in you the purpose of the glory, as if my will were whole in everyone. And from you will come the squad of the other creatures. The generations will not pass away if I do not obtain this intent. Stupefied, I said, "My love, is it possible that your will is whole in me, and that in all my life there has been no break between your will and mine? It seems to me that you are making fun of me." And Jesus, with a tone even sweeter, "No, I am not making fun of you. It is really true that there has been no break. An injury at the most, sometimes. And my love, like strong cement, has repaired these injuries and has rendered the integrity stronger. I have guarded each one of your acts, making my will flow immediately, as if to its place of honor. I knew that many graces were needed, since I was to operate the greatest miracle that exists in the world, that is, the continuous living in my will. The soul must absorb the whole of a God into her act, to give him back again as whole as she absorbed him, and then absorb him once again. Therefore this surpasses even the miracle of the Eucharist. Its accidents have no reason, nor a will, nor desires which may oppose my sacramental life. So the host contributes nothing. All the work is mine. If I want it, I do it. On the other hand, in order to make the miracle of the living in my will happen, I have to bend a reason, a human will, a desire, a love which is purely free. How much does this not take? Therefore there are many souls who receive communion and take part in the miracle of the Eucharist, because they sacrifice less. But having to sacrifice more in order to let the miracle that my will may have life in them occur, very few are those who dispose themselves. November 26, 1929, Volume 27. Each act that is done in the divine will is a divine life that one encloses. How the creature enraptures God. I was feeling very afflicted because of the continuous privations of my sweet Jesus. I felt everything missing in me without him. With Jesus, everything is mine. Everything belongs to me. It seems to me that I am in the house of Jesus, and he, sweetly, with an admirable gentleness, says to me, "All that is mine is yours. Even more, I do not want you to say to me, your heavens, your sun, your many created things, but you must say to me, our heavens, our sun, our creation." In fact, in my divine will, you were creating with me, and continuing your life in it, you offered yourself together with me in preserving it. Therefore, my daughter, everything is ours. Everything is ours. And if you do not consider what is mine as fully your own, you place yourself at due distance. And you show that you are not one from the celestial family, and that you do not live in the house of your divine Father, and you would break the familiar bond with your Jesus. So without him, I feel myself put out of his family, out of his house, and Oh, what a dismal and sorrowful change I feel in my poor soul! I feel I am without He who alone can give me life. I experience the true abandonment and what it means to be without Jesus. Oh, how the exile weighs upon me, and I feel vividly the extreme need of my celestial fatherland. But while many oppressing thoughts crowded my mind, wounding my little and poor soul and reducing it as if it were in extreme agony, my dear life, my sweet Jesus, rose like sun. The oppressing thoughts fled, and with a sweet tone he told me, "My daughter, courage, do not lose heart too much. Don't you know that you must cover your way in my divine will? And this way is long, and these oppressions of yours, these thoughts that crowd within you, are stops that you make. And even though you do not go out of it, yet the journey you should make is somehow arrested. And your Jesus does not want this moving back. He wants you to walk always without ever stopping. In fact, you must know that each step you take in my divine will is a divine life that you enclose. So one step less is one divine life that is not formed, and you deprive our Supreme Being of the glory, of the love, of the happiness and satisfaction that another same life of ours can give us. And if you knew what it means to give us the glory, the love, the happiness of our very life, with the strength of our own will, as the fortunate creature has the great good of living in it, we feel ourselves being enraptured. And her enrapturing strength is such and so great that we bilocate our divine being, and we enclose it in the step, in the act, in the little love of the creature, to have our highest contentment of receiving, through her, our life, our glory, and all our goods. Therefore, when you always walk in our will, we feel the sweet enchantment of your enrapturing that you do to us, while when you do not walk, we do not feel the enchantment of your enrapturing, the sweet treading of your steps, and we say, "The little daughter of our will is not walking, and therefore we do not feel within ourselves her sweet enrapturing of her acts." And promptly I reprimand you by saying to you, "Daughter, walk, do not stop. Our fiat is continuous motion, and you must follow it." So you must know that this is the great difference between one who lives in our divine volition and one who is resigned and, in the circumstances, does our divine will. The first one, it is divine lives that she offers to us by means of her acts. The other one, in operating, encloses the effects of our will, and we do not feel within ourselves our very enrapturing strength that enraptures us in her acts, but only the effects, not the whole of our love, but a little particle of it, not the source of our happiness, but its mere shadow. And from life to effects there is such difference, just as between life and works. Who can say that a work has all the value that a life of creature can possess? Much less can the divine life formed by the creature in my divine will be compared with her works done outside of it. November 26, 1933, Volume 33. The works of God lavishly prepare the table for the creature, and living in his divine volition, she acts as queen in the seas of the Supreme Being. One who does his volition withdraws from everything and remains alone, and remains the abandoned and lost one of the creation. I was making my round in the works of the divine fiat, and since I am so little, I felt the need of being carried in his arms. Otherwise, either I get lost in its immensity and the multiplicity of his works, or I do not know how to go on. But since he wants to make his works known to me, where his speaking and operating love finds itself, and this says how much and how he has loved me, therefore he carries me in his arms and conducts me through the interminable ways of his holy will. But this is not enough. In each of his works he encloses in me, for however much I can contain of it, the love of every single work. He wants to hear in me the sound of love that each work contains. Even I am one of his works, an act of his will, and having done everything for my love, he wants me to enclose in myself all the sounds and keys of love that his work contain. So while I went around in his works, beloved Jesus, surprising me, told me, "My blessed daughter, you cannot understand how much it pleases me to see you go around in the works created by us. They are pregnant with love, and as you go around in their midst, they pour forth love, and they give you the love with which they are filled. And this is one of the reasons why I want you to go around in our works. They lavishly prepare the table of our love for the creatures, and they feel honored that they have one little sister of theirs in their midst who feeds on it, and who forms in herself as many sounds of love for their Creator, for however many works were created. But this is not everything. My divine will is not content with making her go around in our works, but after she has finished going around, letting her know so many things about creation and filling her even to the brim with love, it conducts her in its arms into the womb of the Supreme Being, which casts her like a little stone into the interminable seas of its attributes. And the little daughter of our volition, what does she do? Like a little stone cast into the sea, makes all the waters of the sea ripple, so she moves all the sea of our divine being. And while she swims in it, she drowns with love, with light, with sanctity, with wisdom, with goodness, and so forth. And oh, how beautiful it is to see her, to hear what she says while she feels drowned. All your love is mine, and I put it in act to pray you that the kingdom of your will come on earth. Your sanctity is mine, your light, your goodness, your mercy is mine. It is not my littleness that prays to you, no, but your seas of power, of goodness that pray to you, that urge you, that assail you, and want your will reigning on earth. In fact, one sees the littleness of the creature acting as queen in our divine being, reuniting our immensity and power together, and making us ask ourselves what she wants and what we want. She understands well that there is no other good than our will alone, and in order to obtain the intent, she makes it asked by the infinity of our divine qualities. And one sees the little tiny one little and powerful, enriched with the prerogatives of our divine qualities as if they were hers, which gives her such charm of beauty as to enrapture us, debilitate us, in order to make us do what she wants and we want. She becomes our echo, and she does not know how to say anything else to us, nor ask for anything other than that our will would invade everything and would form one single will with all creatures. In fact, when the creature has understood what divine will means, and she feels its life flow in her, she no longer feels the need of anything, because possessing my volition, she possesses all possible and imaginable goods. Only the delirium, the yearnings, the sighs remain for her because she wants that my will embrace everything and constitute itself life of everything. And this because she sees that my will wants this, and her littleness wants this. So I continued to think about the divine will and the great evil that doing the human will brings. And my beloved Jesus, sighing, added, "My daughter, one who does her own will withdraws herself from everyone and works alone. There is no one who helps her, nor who gives her strength, nor who gives her light in order to do the best in what she does, such that everyone leaves her at the mercy of herself, isolated, without support, and without defense. One can call her the abandoned and lost one in the creation, just suffering for one who wants to do her will, to feel all the weight and the lack of all helps, of the solitude in which she has placed herself. And oh, the sorrow that I feel in seeing so many creatures withdrawn also from me. And I, in order to make them touch with their own hand what it means to do without my will, I remain as at a distance, letting them feel all the weight of the human volition that never gives her rest and becomes her cruelest tyrant. It is all the opposite for one who does my will. Everyone is with her, heaven, the saints, the angels, because for the honor and respect of my will, everyone is obligated to help that creature and to sustain her in those acts where my will enters. She herself places herself in communication with everyone, and she commands everyone that they help, defend, and act as cortege to her with their company. Already grace smiles on her, the light shines in her soul and administers the best, the most beautiful in her act. I myself remain occupied in one who does my will, and I make my acts flow in her acts in order to have the honor, the love, the glory of my acts in the act of the creature who has operated in my will. This is why she feels the connection with everyone, the strength, the support, the company, the defense of everyone. In fact, one who does my will and lives in it can be called the refound one of creation, the daughter, the sister, the friend of everyone. She acts like the sun that from the heights of its sphere rains light, and expanding, it encloses everything in its light. It gives itself to everyone. It doesn't deny itself to anyone, and as faithful sister it embraces all things, and gives its beneficent effect to each created thing as pledge of its love, constituting itself life of the effect that it gives. In some it forms the life of sweetness, in other created things the life of fragrance, in others the life of colors, and so forth. In the same way, my will, from the heights of its throne, rains its light, and where it finds the creature who wants to receive it in order to let it dominate, it surrounds her, it embraces her, it warms her, it molds her in order to mature her, and so enclose its admirable life as if it were the life of the creature. And with this life, everything and everyone are with her, because everything is of my adorable will. November 26, 1938, Volume 36. The disposition calls the divine work. The divine will places a divine motion in one who lives in it. How the creature can give all to his Creator. Enchantment for the divine eyes. The blessed and the pilgrim soul. I am under the waves of the divine volition that always wants to give itself to the creatures. But the creatures have to want this. The divine will does not want to be an intruder who drops in without the creature even knowing it. It wants to be sought after. It wants to give her its kiss of love, and then, triumphant and loaded with gifts, enter into her and fill her with its gifts. But as I was thinking this, my Jesus, feeling the need to confide his secrets to his little one, told me, "My blessed daughter, my will wants to give, but it wants to find the soul disposed. It is like the earth for the farmer. No matter how many seeds he may possess, if there were no earth on which he could throw those seeds, or if the earth had a mind and was not disposed to receive his seeds, the poor farmer would feel as if those seeds, meant to enrich the earth, were thrown back in his face and his eyes. Such is my will. It wants to give, but if it doesn't find the soul disposed, it cannot find a place for its gifts. With great pain, it would feel as if they were being thrown back in its face. So if it wants to talk to her, it would find her deaf. Therefore dispositions prepare the soul, opening divine doors and providing the sense of hearing. But if the soul first hears what my will wants to give, she is placed in communion so that she may love it and long for what she is about to receive. If she is not disposed, we do not give anything, because we do not want to expose our gifts to uselessness. On the other hand, disposition is like the earth that surrenders to the farmer, surrenders to anything he wants, letting him work, hoe and plow, to safely cover the seeds with which he fills it. In the same way, if our Supreme Being finds the disposition, we do our works. We prepare her, we participate in her, and with our creative hands we prepare the place for our gifts and form our most beautiful works. But if she is not disposed, with all our power we can do nothing, because her interior is cluttered up with stones, thorns, wicked passions, and since she is not disposed, she does not allow us to take them out. How many sanctities go up in smoke for lack of disposition. Further, if she is not disposed, she does not adapt herself to living in our divine will. On the contrary, it seems that it is just not for her. Its sanctity floors her. Its purity makes her feel ashamed. Its light blinds her. But if she is disposed, she flings herself into its arms, and she lets us do whatever we want with her. She even remains there like a tiny little baby receiving our works with so much love as to enrapture us. And what does our will do? It makes flow in her its divine motion, and with this divine motion she finds all our works in action. She kisses them, hugs them, and invests them with her little love. She finds my conception and my birth in action, and with her love she wants to be conceived and reborn with me. And not only do I let her do this, but finding one who is reborn together with me, I feel such joy as to be repaid for having come upon earth. But she doesn't stop here. The divine motion she possesses makes her run everywhere to find all that my humanity, like a fierce army, did. My tears, my words, my prayers, my steps, my pains. She takes, she kisses, she adores, everything. There is nothing I did that she does not invest with her love. What does she do then? She makes everything her own, and in a manner all childish and graceful, she locks all things up inside her womb. Then she rises high. She comes before our divinity, places these things all around us, and with emphasis of love she says, "Adorable Majesty, How many beautiful things I am bringing to you. All are mine, and I bring you all, because all love you, adore you, glorify you, and return to you the great love that you have for me and for all. This divine motion, which is our will, places in the creature who lives in it the new life it has just received. With this motion, the creature has right over all. All that is ours is hers. Therefore she can give all. Oh, how many surprises she gives us! She always has something to give to us, and with this divine motion she has the ability to run everywhere. Now she brings us the creation to love us, as we loved her in all created things. Now she brings us all that I did while on earth, to tell us, I love you as you love me. She never stops. It seems she can't be without giving us new love surprises in order to be able to say, I love you always. And we call her our joy and our perennial happiness, because there is no greater joy for us than the continuous love of the creature. You must know that one act done in our will is greater than a rising sun that invests the entire earth, the sea, and the fonts. Everything is invested by its light. Not even the most tiny little blade of grass is left out. Just so, each act done in my will runs and searches, investing all. It forms the most shining silver mantle inside and outside the creature. Then, so greatly adorned, it brings the creature before our adorable majesty, making our own will pray to us with a voice of light, a voice of love, speaking for all, producing a sweet enchantment for the pupils of our divine eyes. It makes us see all the creatures clothed with our divine light, and we ourselves exalt the power of our Fiat that can hide human miseries by the power of its light, turning them into light. There is nothing we can deny to that act, because it has the power to give us all and compensate for all. In hearing this, I thought to myself, if a creature living in his will, still on her journey on earth, can do so much with one single act, how much more will the blessed do in heaven, since they have perennial life in it? And my sweet Jesus added, My daughter, there is a great difference between the blessed and the traveling soul. The blessed have nothing to add, since their lives, their acts, and their wills remain fixed within us. They say, We accomplished our day, we cannot do more. At the most we can give new joys and new love. But the pilgrim soul has not yet completed her day. If she wants to live in our will, she can make prodigies of grace and light for the whole world, and prodigies of love for her Creator. Therefore all our attention is on the traveling soul, because her work is still in process and is not yet finished. If she is disposed, we can do works never done before, so beautiful as to astonish heaven and earth. Our pain is great when we find the traveling soul not disposed to letting us perform our most beautiful works. How many of our works have been started and not finished, with others shattered at their peak moment? Only in our will and for those who live in it can we accomplish our works with their unreachable beauty, since our will provides the adaptable materials to do anything we want. Outside of it, we cannot find sufficient light, nor a rising love, nor divine materials. We are forced to fold our arms, because we just can't move forward with any of those who don't live in our will. Furthermore, for the soul on her journey, we circulate the coin of merit. Our divine image is coined on each of her acts animated by our will. These coins have infinite value, so whenever she wants, she has the money to pay me for anything she wants. Therefore, our concern and interest is for the souls on their journey, because this is the time for conquest, while there are no conquests in heaven, but only joy and happiness. End of November 26. Fiat.